Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are taking a really close look at some fascinating, maybe even controversial source material. We've got these excerpts discussing a method for, well, achieving significant financial change, but not the usual way, not budgeting or side hustles. No, this leverages something called subconscious financial reprogramming. And the core idea, it's pretty bold. It says that real, lasting wealth, it's not really about your education or how hard you work, not even luck. It's apparently controlled entirely by these hidden mental codes running in your brain, almost like a default setting for money. And the sources argue pretty strongly that if that internal code is, let's say, flawed, you're basically set up for struggle no matter what you do consciously.
That really is the central question, isn't it? Why do
Yeah.
some people just seem to, attract success without much visible effort, while others who seem just as smart, just as driven, keep hitting these walls? And this material offers a very specific neuroscience-linked answer. It all comes down to the programming. So our mission today is to really dig into this theory impartially. What's the brain science they're actually citing? How does this mental code supposedly work? And maybe the biggest question, can you really rewrite it using the kind of method they described, starting with just, minutes a day? Okay, let's unpack this.
Okay, let's start with just how big a deal they make this subconscious influence out to be. I mean, if we consciously want to succeed so badly, why does it feel like we're swimming upstream sometimes? Well, what's really striking is the sheer imbalance of control they describe. The sources mention statistics, suggesting something like up to 95% of your daily thoughts, your habits, your decisions. They stem from the subconscious mind. Just think about that for a second. Almost everything you do, every little choice, how you react to an opportunity or a setback, it's being guided by this part of you that you're not consciously directing.
95%.
Yeah.
That's almost unbelievable. It means our conscious mind, the part that sets goals and reads finance books, is running, 5% of the show?
Exactly. And that's where the financial friction comes in, according to these sources. You can consciously say, I want more money. You can visualize it, work crazy hours. But if that huge 95% chunk is busy running these old limiting scripts, well, those scripts just overpower your conscious effort. They're like quiet saboteurs.
And what kind of scripts are we talking about here? Where did they even come from? Oh, it's usually a lifetime accumulation. Things you heard growing up, maybe money doesn't grow on trees, or rich people are somehow bad, or even just a feeling that you specifically aren't cut out for wealth. Maybe a belief like you have to work incredibly hard for every single dollar. That kind of deep-seated financial anxiety or feeling like you don't deserve it, it operates beneath your conscious awareness.
Right. And the sources use this really vivid analogy to explain that conflict. They compare it to driving a car. You're consciously flooring the gas pedal, that's your desire for wealth, your ambition, but your other foot is unconsciously jammed on the brake.
It's a perfect picture of self-sabotage, isn't it? All that conscious energy, your drive, your intentions. But because the underlying programming is designed to keep you safe, which often means financially small, or money feels less threatening, you get this internal gridlock. You just spin your wheels. The argument is, until you release that brake, until you rewrite that fundamental code, all the conscious striving is largely wasted effort.
Okay, so the objective isn't just more effort, it's getting access to that 95% control panel and actually changing the settings. How do they propose we do that? How do we get past the conscious mind's defenses? This is where it shifts into brain waves, right?
Yes, that's the transition. So the sources start talking about the brain's electrical activity. Yeah, these rhythms or frequencies that change based on what state we're in. These are measurable patterns, alpha, beta, theta, delta. And the core claim is that getting into a specific frequency is the gateway to accessing and reprogramming the subconscious.
All right, let's nail down the two key states they focus on. First, there's the one most of us are apparently stuck in, which they link to financial struggle, beta.
Right. Beta waves are the faster frequencies, say roughly 14 to 30 cycles per second, or hertz. This is your normal waking consciousness, active thinking, analyzing, problem solving, but also often stress and worry. When you're caught up in scarcity thoughts, anxious about bills, constantly overthinking things, you're deep in beta territory. And the argument is, in beta, your mind is just too switched on, too critical to really accept new positive programming. It tends to filter it out.
Okay, so beta is like the guard at the gate, and the state needed to actually get inside to reach the subconscious is theta.
That's the one. Theta waves are significantly slower, typically around 4 to 8 hertz. This state is linked to deep relaxation, REM sleep dreaming, flashes of creativity. And crucially, according to the sources, it's a state of high suggestibility. They call it the hypnotic state. It's where that conscious filter supposedly drops, and the subconscious becomes really receptive, really, programmable.
So the theory goes, get into theta easily, and you can essentially upload a new financial blueprint, a more positive one. Now, here's the part that jumped out at me. The sources make this rather bold claim about wealthy people. They say that the ultra-wealthy naturally spend more time in this theta state.
They do make that assertion, yes. And this is probably a good point to exercise a bit of caution. The sources suggest this tendency allows successful people to see creative solutions others miss, to act from confidence instead of anxiety. But how exactly did they measure this across a group defined as ultra-wealthy individuals? Was it a rigorous peer-reviewed study? The sources don't really provide that level of specific citation for this particular claim. So I think we should treat it as, let's say, a compelling hypothesis within their framework, rather than established scientific fact.
That's a really important distinction. So it's part of the theory based on maybe observations cited in the material. Okay, but assuming the link is valid for their argument that theta is the necessary state, the big hurdle is getting the average person, who's usually stressed and in beta, to drop down into that 4 to 8 hertz range without, spending years meditating in a cave.
Right, and that leads directly to the core mechanism proposed in the source material, a specific audio-based method designed to be quick. The sources claim this program uses special sound frequencies. Technologies like binaural beats or something similar are often mentioned in this context, to gently but effectively guide the listener's brainwaves directly into that receptive theta state.
They call it a 7-minute shortcut. Sounds almost too simple. You listen to this audio track once a day, stay calm, and the sound frequencies basically sync up your brainwaves, pulling you out of beta stress and into theta receptivity. It does sound a bit like what advanced meditators achieve, but compressed.
That is the extraordinary claim, essentially, that this technology can induce rapid brainwave synchronization. It aims to replicate that deeply relaxed, yet highly aware state, maybe like a Zen master or someone skilled in biofeedback, but without the steep learning curve or time investment. And the scientific principle they invoke to explain how this works is neuroplasticity.
Okay, neuroplasticity. Here's where it gets really interesting. Can you break that down for us in this context? What does that actually mean here?
Sure. Neuroplasticity is simply the brain's incredible ability to change and reorganize itself. It does this by forming new connections between neurons, basically rewiring itself throughout our lives based on experience. Now, the argument in the sources is that when the brain is guided into the theta state via these frequencies, it becomes highly plastic, more open to change. The sound acts like a focused nudge, helping the brain become receptive to building new pathways. So instead of automatically running down those old scarcity-based neural roads, the brain is supposedly prompted to overwrite those old scarcity codes and physically install new, abundance-oriented beliefs right into its structure.
Wow. So it's literally like getting an operating system update for how your brain handles money. And the time commitment is, well, minimal.
That's the emphasis, consistency over duration, just that short daily session. And the reported outcomes, as you touched on, are pretty specific and quite intriguing. People claiming they suddenly notice financial opportunities they'd overlooked before, or experiencing unexpected boosts of creative ideas for their business or career, and developing this calm, underlying confidence about money that feels new.
Okay, let's tackle the elephant in the room for many people. Traditional mindset techniques, things like repeating positive affirmations or making vision boards. Why do the sources claim these often fall short?
Yeah, the material's pretty direct about this. It argues those methods primarily operate at the conscious level, that tiny 5% we talked about.
Yeah.
So you can repeat, I am wealthy all day long. But if that massive 95% subconscious is running a program that fundamentally believes I am not worthy of wealth or money is dangerous, that old ingrained program tends to just filter out or reject the conscious affirmation. It doesn't stick.
Right, that analogy they used again, like painting over rust. Looks okay on the surface for a bit, maybe. But the underlying corrosion, the limiting belief, is still there, just waiting to bubble up again. So for real, lasting change, you have to get to the root, to the subconscious metal itself, not just the surface paint.
Exactly. And to bolster their argument for a frequency-based solution, the sources bring up a slightly more nuanced view of successful financial minds. They mention research suggesting that self-made billionaires don't just hang out in theta all the time, but operate in a kind of unique balance between alpha and theta states.
Ah, okay, not just theta, but a blend. Alpha and theta. What's special about that combination? What does it allow that beta thinking, or even pure theta, doesn't?
Well, alpha waves, typically 8 to 13 hertz, are associated with that state of relaxed alertness or focused calm. Think being in the zone. You're awake, alert, but not stressed. Performing well, effortlessly. So the idea is, by blending alpha's relaxed focus with theta's deep creativity and programmability, the brain hits this sweet spot, a high-performance state. This supposedly allows these individuals to stay calm and make clear decisions under pressure, generate those innovative, profitable ideas, and take bold actions without being crippled by fear or doubt.
So their brains are kind of optimized for seeing opportunity and acting decisively, without the usual anxiety baggage. And the audio program's goal is to help the listener's brain replicate that exact balanced frequency pattern.
That's precisely the claim. And the potential shift is significant because it supposedly targets those really common, deep-seated limiting beliefs about money. For instance, think about the common belief. Money is really hard to earn. You have to sacrifice everything for success. Unlikely. The new code this process aims to embed might be something like, money flows to me easily and purposefully. It's a totally different energy.
Yeah, you can see how that would change things. Or take the belief, I'm just not smart enough, or I don't really deserve to be wealthy.
Right. The intended replacement code becomes, abundance is my natural state. I am worthy of financial success and ease. It reframes your entire self-concept around money.
And that common fear, the one that keeps people stuck. Achieving real success takes forever. It's this long, hard grind.
Exactly. That gets replaced with something like, opportunities show up and align quickly for me when my energy is right.
Hmm.
The whole focus shifts, doesn't it? From external struggle to internal alignment. It redefines what work even means in achieving success.
It really sounds like it's fundamentally about shifting your self-perception, which then naturally leads to better choices and less shooting yourself in the foot financially. So looking at the big picture from these sources, the main takeaway seems to be that financial success isn't primarily about grinding harder or getting another degree. It's more about energetic alignment.
That's the core message, yes. If your subconscious beliefs and energy are lined up with your conscious goals for wealth, you naturally stop making the unforced errors that hold you back. You start taking smarter risks, you attract more helpful people or situations, and you break those old patterns of self-sabotage that keep you stuck repeating the past. It becomes more effortless.
So it's about working with your brain's potential instead of constantly fighting against unseen internal resistance. And the commitment, as presented in the material, it's surprisingly small, just that 7 minutes a day. The promise is hitting reset on your mind's default money settings, trading years, maybe decades of scarcity programming for a state of confidence and flow.
At the end of the day, the sources are suggesting that the potential for abundance is already within your subconscious. It's like it's dormant. It just needs the right trigger, the correct frequency to wake it up and bring that blueprint fully online.
So, what does this all mean for you, listening right now? Well, the conclusion we're drawing from analyzing this source material is this. If you feel financially stuck, maybe you're not just fighting bad luck or a tough economy. Maybe you're primarily wrestling with your own hidden internal programming. And if that code can be accessed and rewritten, possibly through methods like these focusing on brain frequencies, then your entire financial reality could potentially shift. So, here's the final thought to chew on. If your subconscious mind has been quietly writing your financial story all this time, maybe without your full permission, what specific limiting belief, if you could actually rewrite it today, do you feel would create the biggest, most immediate positive change in your life? What financial story are you ready to start rewriting?